Arsenal are at it again, winning their 4th game in a row and breezing 3 past Bodo Glimt in the process. So from the devastating quality of Fabio Vieira to a masterclass from Tierney, let's break the game down and discuss the 5 things that we learnt from Arsenal 3, Bodo Glimt 0. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. Sensational scenes at the Emirates Stadium, 3 points to the Arsenal, so smash a like if you enjoy the content and subscribe if you are new. But the first thing we have to discuss is Tierney is back. Since the arrival of Alexander Zinchenko, Tierney has only started games when Zinchenko has not been available. And ever since we've seen Tierney return from his long-term injury, which saw him miss the end of last season, he hasn't looked like himself. Defensively, he's been fine, but on the ball, when you compare him to Zinchenko, who has been elite, Tierney has been found lacking. But in his last few starts, and specifically in this game, Tierney reminded the Arsenal fans of his true quality, making 1 interception, 1 tackle, 54 touches, 34 passes, with a 97% passing accuracy. This is what you get with a level of elite squad depth. Tierney has seen Zinchenko and realised if he wants to start for Arsenal, he has to adapt his game and improve his game. And in this game, he showed the elite level of ball security and showcased an ability to play as an inverted left back. In fact, as you guys can see, in many stages of the game, Tierney was inverting alongside Sambi Lokonga and Tomiyasu and forming a midfield 3. But Tierney also showed variation, because he wasn't just playing as an out and out inverted left back, but on many occasions he was also bombing forwards and showcasing Arsenal fans that he's also back going forwards. Very unlucky not to score the first Arsenal goal, smashing the post, and every time he broke forwards we saw a Tierney that was decisive, that was making things happen, and it was almost a throwback Tierney performance, and to one that when he's fit and he's available and firing at this standard is one of the best left backs in world football. Now also very importantly in this game, there was no Zinchenko in the entire Arsenal squad, with reports claiming it is not known if his absence is due to injury or precaution. This all poses a massive question for this Sunday, Arsenal versus Liverpool. Who is going to face up one of the best attackers in the league in Mo Salah, Tierney or Alexander Zinchenko? Moving on to the second thing, and that is Mikel Arteta's level raters. 3-0 to the Arsenal suggests an emphatic win, and even in terms of expected goals, Arsenal racked up a massive 3.57, limiting their opposition to only 0.73. But when you further break down the stats, despite Arsenal being the far better team in terms of chance creation, Bodo Glimt actually had more of the ball than Arsenal and even completed more passes. But Arsenal was still dominant in terms of field tilts, final third entries and expected threat created. And what we saw early on in the second half is an Arsenal team that was very passive. Even though they were trying to press, it was a bit half-hearted, and the likes of Sambi Lokonga struggled to impose themselves on the ball. With the amount of games that Arsenal have coming up, I kind of feel like Arsenal were trying to preserve their energy, because by nature Arsenal aren't a passive team and Arteta coaches a high press. With Arsenal being 2-0 up and the game kind of done, was this Arteta's Arsenal trying to manage the game and preserve their energy, with the game basically being won and more important games upcoming? 10 minutes into the second half, on comes Gabriel Jesus, Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. It was time to raise the levels, and when Arteta was asked on if his triple substitution was down to a drop in energy, he says, a few players you can notice that when the game takes a different intensity, they were suffering a little bit, but it's normal. They haven't had enough exposure, enough minutes, and that's what we had to plan. When you bring on Gabriel Jesus, expect the intensity of the game to change, because Jesus is a workhorse and his energy is infectious. And even though he wasn't playing as a centre forward, more on the left hand side, he was still causing absolute mayhem, and the third Arsenal goal comes all through Gabriel Jesus. Twinkle Toes FC showing the flair of a true Brazilian and dancing past the Bodo Glimt defence, scoring it to Fabio Vieira. And with that assist, Jesus has now directly been involved in more goals than any other Arsenal player this season. In 10 games, that's now 5 goals and 4 assists. This is the difference that Arsenal have this season. Last year it was Lacazette, this year it's Gabriel Jesus, and it was once again him showcasing his elite level of dribbling, something that we didn't see that often during his time at Man City. Under Pep Guardiola, who is a far more rigid manager, Arteta has given Jesus freedom, and with that he has unlocked one of the most effective number 9 in the world when it comes to dribbling. But talking of goal scorers, you also had another goal for Eddie Nketiah. With his goal, Nketiah has now scored 12 goals in just 15 starts for Arsenal since the start of last season. Yes, he missed a few big chances, but when Nketiah starts, he normally scores. And his goal itself was another example of him being a fox in the box, with 25 of his Arsenal goals coming inside the box. Nketiah made that goal look easier than what it actually was, and to react that quickly, it shows his striker's instinct. With Jesus being 1 yellow card away from suspension, Nketiah is definitely going to be called upon in the Premier League, and it's going to be a massive ask because Jesus is an amazing player. But Eddie Nketiah is showing once again that when given starts, he is able to find the back of the net. Moving on to the third thing, and that is Fabio Vieira's elite final ball. When Arsenal signed Fabio Vieira, one of the standout headlines coming out of Portugal was one of his academy coaches saying that he is the most devastating talent coming out of Europe. And we had seen it in a few spurts so far, but in this game, we saw the true levels to Fabio Vieira's final pass. As well as getting 1 goal and 1 assist, it was 16 accurate passes, a 100% passing accuracy, 3 key passes, 2 accurate crosses, 1 accurate long ball, and 2 big chances created. I have said this before time and time again. At Man City, you have Kevin De Bruyne. At Liverpool, you have Trent Alexander-Arnold. In this game, what you see from Fabio Vieira is a player that when he's given time and space, he has the ability to find a pass out of nothing. And that was in prime example for the second Arsenal goal. The ball loops into the air after an Arsenal corner. Vieira kills the ball with a fantastic first touch, cuts inside on his left foot, and whips a fantastic cross to the far post. Your boy won't lie to you guys, it gave me flashbacks of Mesut Ozil against Swansea all those years ago. This Arsenal team has so many similar profiles to Man City, from the goalkeepers to defenders and midfielders. But when it comes to that final pass of Kevin De Bruyne, it's something that we've lacked for so long. But in Fabio Vieira, him getting 14 assists last season and his little spurts for Arsenal so far have showcased the devastating quality he possesses in the final third. What was also very interesting was in the second half the introduction of Martin Odegaard alongside Fabio Vieira, something that many Arsenal fans have fantasized for a long time. And what was very important was the fact that Odegaard was playing on the left hand side of the midfield. There are a few Arsenal fans that are saying maybe he's better suited in terms of dynamics on the left hand side, because just like Granit Xhaka, Odegaard is also fantastic in the build-up phases, and he also puts him closer to Gabriel Martinelli. Over the past few seasons have shown signs of a very good partnership, but most importantly it opens up a space on the right hand side where you can then have a midfield three of Thomas Partey at the base, Martin Odegaard on the left, and Fabio Vieira on the right hand side. Having those two attack-minded number 8s, you see it at Man City with Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. The question now put forward to Mikel Arteta is, has he found his own duo in Martin Odegaard and Fabio Vieira? Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is the last chance for Rhys Nelson. The almost forgotten man at Arsenal and the original Europa League star boy that came through under Arsene Wenger all those years ago. Whether it's the lack of first team appearances or injuries, it's never quite worked out for Rhys Nelson at Arsenal. And even in terms of the start of this season, he was looking pretty sharp in pre-season. And just when things started to look a bit bright, he once again unfortunately got injured. But since then, he has now made his first team return, and today he made his first competitive Arsenal appearance in well over 1 year. It was nothing special, but it was a decent little cameo where he showcased his ability to play on the left hand side, the fact that he's still got a bit of explosive pace and that he really can take his man on. Now in terms of profiles, I do believe Rhys Nelson suits what Mikel Arteta wants. I just think he's been unfortunate when it comes to injuries. But lots of people might have forgotten this, but in Arteta's first ever games at the Emirates, he started Rhys Nelson, so he's clearly a massive fan of the player. And even before the game, Arteta says, we wanted him back to see if we can take him to the next level. Rhys is special, and now he is going to have an opportunity. People forget this, but before Bukayo Saka, there was Rhys Nelson. He was the guy that every Arsenal fan was hyping up, and he was meant to be the future of the Arsenal wide forwards. With the amount of games that Arsenal have coming up just before the World Cup, especially in the Europa League, I do believe we will see a lot more of Rhys Nelson, whose Arsenal contract expires in 2023. I also want to talk about Matt Turner. Now, his first ever start at the Emirates Stadium, and as an Arsenal fan, fantastic for him. I'm very happy about that. But in terms of his actual performance, there were positives and there were negatives. And the positives are obviously the fact that he kept the clean sheet and made some very important saves at key moments. But the negatives were clear and obvious, and that was Matt Turner's distribution. On many occasions, he looked very uncomfortable with his feet, and every time he was pressed, he didn't seem to have the ability to play the passes out wide. And when you then compare him to the high standards of Aaron Ramsdale on the ball, there is a massive drop off in quality. And Arsenal fans know how important it is for the Arsenal goalkeeper to be able to play out of the back. if we see any sort of injury to Aaron Ramsdale, I don't really trust Matt Turner to have that same ability on the ball, and that's where it gets a little bit worrying. Moving on to the fifth thing, and that is squad depth comes in clutch. Arsenal are simply on fire as it stands, making it 4 wins in a row and 9 wins out of a possible 10 in all competitions. The start has been sensational, and even in terms of October, 6 days into it, and Arsenal have already played 2 games. And in the Europa League, just like the Premier League, Arsenal are top, 6 points out of a possible 6. And 2 points clear of second and third place, Bodø, Glimt and PSV. Now PSV won their game 5-1, an emphatic victory there, so Arsenal still need to be a little bit careful, but it seems like Arsenal should be fine, despite not playing many of their first team, as the players that are seen as squad depth have come out pretty decent. And when your backup team has the likes of Tomiyasu, Tierney, Vieiras, Marquinhos, there is a decent amount of squad depth, and that is going to be necessary because Arsenal's next 6 games are Liverpool at home, Bodo Glimt away, Leeds away, PSV at home, Southampton away and PSV away. The games are coming thick and fast, and in the month of October, Arsenal have 7 games remaining. It's going to be a massive test for Mikel, who now has the best win ratio of any manager in Arsenal's history, with 58%. 141 matches, 82 wins, 20 draws, 39 losses, 241 goals scored and 145 goals conceded. The stats are fantastic, but next up we are up against one of the best teams in the recent years, Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, and they might be out of form, but Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, some world-class players there and there. The game is at the Emirates Stadium, and for me it is the perfect opportunity for Arsenal to showcase that this season we are the real deal. But that is the video there, so hopefully you have enjoyed, and if you have, make sure to go down there to smash a like and subscribe if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things that we learnt from Arsenal 3, Bodo Glimt 0. The Arsenal are on fire once again, 4 out of 4, 9 out of 10, beautiful scenes. And now Liverpool, Emirates Stadium on Sunday. I look forward to it, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and in a bit.